Welcome to the podcast for online fitness coaches. We're Benji Tucker and Ethan Gonzalez, and together we scaled each of our fitness businesses from 0 to 80K in just 4 months. On this podcast, you're going to hear all about how to get more online fitness clients, make more profit from each of them, how to keep them longer, and the many failures and lessons we've learned on our path to a combined 160K a month. Today, we're going to be talking about all things related to how to attract $10,000 plus clients. So, Ethan, let's get into it. What are your first thoughts let me ask you this. When you first started doing fitness coaching, how much were you charging per client?
I was charging about like 175 a month, 100 to 175 a month.
Okay, so now this is going to resonate with our viewers. When you had your first mentor that told you, hey, you could have clients that per year are worth 10,000 plus, what was your first reaction to that?
I just didn't believe it. I didn't believe it at all. I remember kind of the first shift for me was believing, okay, going from like 175 to like 500. And then I was like, all right, 500 is the limit. Like nobody's charging more than 500. Like this is it. Right. So I thought I kind of got into the spot where I had a limiting belief around what you could charge. And it kind of ties into the next point about our valuable offer. But before I get into that, I was like, all right, stuck at 500, maybe made it 600. And then I was stuck at 600. I'm like, there's no way people pay over 600. I'm the highest out of everyone I know. I charge 600. And then I had another mentor who came to me. He's like, dude, I have clients who charge like 2K a month. And I'm like, 2K a month, like, and I'm at 600, like I should be way more. Right. So then I moved up to 800. Right now I'm at 800. And again, it's that same thing of like, oh, nobody's going to pay more than 800. But there is people out there who will buy at a higher price if you have a valuable offer.
Exactly.
If you have something that actually resonates with them.
Absolutely. I mean, for reference, I was charging like 200 a month, so right around your 175. And then, I had spoken with various mentors as well. And it doesn't mean your goal is to just charge as much as possible based on your offer. And we'll get into that in a second. But you definitely want to charge a shit ton more relative to what probably anyone in this audience is listening to right now. So, for reference, I started at 200 and I went to, about 700 per month, which is still a sizable difference, right? And, my first thought when I had heard the plausibility of increasing my prices to that much was, who the hell are these people training? Like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk? It's like, where are these people finding these clients from? And it's because I didn't understand a proper value proposition. I didn't understand how to attract these people, which we'll get into. So you brought up the first point, which was all about offers and offer creation. And of course, we can make an entire episode on just offer creation, and we probably will in the future, right? There is so many things that go into it. But, the first thing that you want to understand with your offer, first principle, before we get into who specifically it is that we're targeting, is that you do need to target someone specific.
Yeah.
A lot of guys on Instagram will show online fitness coach. So like, hey, Benji Tucker, online fitness coach. Well, everyone's an online fitness coach. So it's, I'll talk about the crowded room theory. The crowded room theory is you're in a room. Let's say it's, a big event, a big party. There's 150 plus people in there, and you just hear like a bunch of whizzes of voices, right? Just a bunch of murmurs. If one of those people that are murmuring are trying to talk to you, and just by saying, hey, guy over there, they're trying to get your attention. Hey, dude over there, right? A few people might turn their head, but no one's really, interacting with that person. But then if they say, hey, dude in the, the blue button-down shirt wearing white headphones, and your name is Benji Tucker, it's like all of a sudden you're going to hear that, right? And you're going to turn around and you're going to gravitate towards that. So you need to speak to a specific person, because when you try to speak to everyone, you speak to no one, right? When you're liked by most people, let's just say you're liked by everyone, you're not loved by anyone, and you're not hated by anyone, right? You need to be loved and hated in order to create polarization, and because no one's going to buy from you just by liking you. They're going to buy from you by loving you.
Yeah. And you have to have something that people desire strongly. Like you're talking about. If people just like what you do, like, oh yeah, he's good. Like he's got stuff on Instagram. I like his stuff. They're not, again, drawn super into you. Versus if you post content that is, hey, you have comments that are hating on you. They're like, oh, you're terrible, blah, 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 blah. And you have people who are like, oh, this is amazing. This is super valuable. Then you get a lot more drawing from the people who say it's super valuable. It's awesome versus people just hitting the like button.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this rings true is that someone once said the secret to sales is, and there's a lot of fake sales gurus out there, by the way, but is making an offer someone can't refuse. And that's so simplistic, but it's true because in essence, if someone came to me and said, you know, by the way, they probably stole this car, but if they take a Ferrari and they say, hey, it's gonna be $5,000, all you gotta do is pay me $5,000. And I don't even have $5,000, I'm still going to come up with the money for it because it's that good of an offer. Like, I just cannot refuse that. Why is it that good of an offer? Because a Ferrari is usually 300,000 MSRP plus. And guess what? If I'm getting it for 5,000, regardless of how that was obtained, I could resell it for 300,000. So I'm being sold something for 5,000 that's worth 300,000 plus. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what we're trying to do here. Can we sell someone something that to them, based on their circumstances and the trajectory that they want in their future, would be worth 100,000 plus or an infinite amount of money? And then can we take that and sell it to them for, let's say, 10,000 plus across the year, or 5,000 for 6 months? That's
Yeah.
in essence what we're doing.
Yeah, we're focusing on trying to find higher level problems in people's minds, right? I'll talk a little bit about my avatar, right? Work with corporate executive women who are going through different menopause challenges, honestly, different hormonal imbalances, or even some GI issues too. And these problems that these women are dealing with, every woman's going to go through menopause, but when you're in that stage, it's such a deep rooted issue. You have so many different symptoms you're experiencing. Your quality of life is drastically different. Or some people that I talk to have IBS for 10 years or different GI issues for many years. And it's like, this is not just about the weight. It's also about the way they wake up, the way they show up in their workplace, the way they show up in their day-to-day lives, like with their families. Do they have the energy for their kids? Like, these are all problems you guys can all speak to. Maybe not at the higher level, but you guys can speak to these deeper rooted issues rather than just like, oh, you want to lose 30 pounds, right? It's just so generic. Everyone talks about losing weight. Everyone talks about losing body fat. But if you can start to speak to those higher level problems, you can charge higher level prices. And when you charge a higher level prices, you deliver a better service. People are honestly better clients because they stay for longer and they honestly value your time and respect you more versus somebody who's, 18 years old paying you $200 a month and they're like, hey, get me 5 pounds of muscle, right? That person
Yeah.
has a very small problem. It's not super important, right? They want to get shredded for summer, great. Once summer comes around, you get them a great result, you get them shredded, they're done. They're not going to stay on for longer.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
not
in
gonna keep
terms
paying
of
you.
the in terms of the problem that you are solving, the level of specificity and the amount of severity of the problem is what's going to increase that value, right? I use an example in one of our course modules with our clients, and it's like, let's say that you're targeting someone and you say, okay, like you have like general inflammation and pain, maybe like some pain in the back, right? Versus, hey, you've had this specific back problem. I can't even pronounce it. That's how specific it is, like spondylolisthesis or something like that. Still can't pronounce the example I've used for a year now. And you've had that for 20 plus years. So it's very severe. It's very painful. It's very specific. There's only very few people that even know what the heck that disease for back pain is anyways, right? If you find people that have that particular problem, what is it worth to them? 50,000, 100,000? That's a expensive problem to solve, right? But if you're just like, I'm going to help your back pain. Well, who helps back pain? Chiropractors, physical therapists, other online coaches, right? So what makes you unique? What makes you stand out? And specifically about that uniqueness, what's going to attract higher paying customers? It doesn't mean that all of you have to replicate the person who's charging 20K for their fitness services and it's at the most upper echelons of people, because that's a mistake others make as well. And, they need to know their worth and, be able to build from there. You can't just go ahead and, like, let's say copy John Madsen, for example, because you've literally had a friend that tried to do that. It didn't work out too well.
Yeah. Yeah. It was difficult because, he's done it for so much longer. He has more case studies, more testimonials, and he just has that authority. And so if you're going to try and copy somebody else's style and you can't back it up yourself, nobody's going to believe you. Nobody's going to follow through on those things. So it's really important to speak to problems that you can solve and the deepest problems that you can understand, right?
Yeah,
Like you're
because if
talking
you
about.
if you target a problem that's worth 10K, let's say it's worth 15K a year to solve, and you suck at solving it, and you don't even know what you're talking about, well, then you're still not going to attract any clients. Whereas if you target a problem that's slightly or relatively to that problem a little bit more broad, but not super broad, and you can only charge $8K per year, let's say, that's still great because you're going to get more total clients because you actually know who you're talking to and how to help them, right? Something about the level of specificity and who you target is go specific, but not specificer based on what you know. So it's like, let's say there's a chart and I've got 100 dots on this chart, 100 people, right? And I'm like so specific. I'm like, hey, if you're like a midget with a missing arm, okay, like maybe one guy raises his one arm that he's got, right, every once in a while. And it's like, okay, well, maybe that person buys, maybe he doesn't, but that's only one person, right? Whereas then let's say, hey, if you're a man and 50 people raise their hand, but they say, I'm not that interested in that offer. Versus, hey, if you're a man and you're struggling with low T in your 40s and you sit at a desk all day, maybe 15 people raise their hand, but that's very resonant with those 15 people. And it's the sweet spot for, hey, being specific enough and also having enough people that fall within that level of specificity.
Definitely. 100%.
So next point is once you have your offer dialed in, right? You have your offer and everything starts with the offer. Marketing becomes a lot easier from that point. If you don't have an offer, forget about it, right? So now it's the ad. That's the additional layer of qualification, or the first layer of qualification in your funnel to attract these high quality leads. So Ethan, if you want to take the reins on that a little bit, just when it comes to you drafting an ad, scripting one, and putting it out there, what are those things you're thinking about to ensure that attracts the right people?
Sure. And there are little minute things that you say in your ads probably now that you don't even think about that can cause you to attract the wrong person or potentially even the right person, right? So for me, when I was developing some of my first ads, I was like, all right, I think I'm going to work with women. That's mainly who I've gotten in. I'm going to work with women. And it was like, okay, if you're, a busy mom and you want to lose 30 plus pounds and you're, lacking motivation and, you're lacking energy and you just want to be more confident, right? Like that was like one of the first things that I'd say in the ad. The problem is when you say you're lacking motivation, guess who you're going to attract? Unmotivated people, people who are losers, people who've never done anything when it comes down to improving their health. So when you offer them a program or you offer them to get on a call, they're probably going to be like, I don't have the time. I'm really busy. Or I'm really unmotivated.
Way too much effort.
It's too much. And it's like out the gate, you're literally killing your ad because you're talking to the wrong person. Yeah. Or other things that you could do in your ad are like saying, make it super easy and effortless. And, you can eat whatever you want and train however you want. And like those things can work. Like you want to make it a simple process. But
now everyone does that as well.
But now everyone does that as well. But when you speak to all those things at once, again, guess who you're going to attract? Lazy people who don't want to put in the work. People want it to be easy. So when you get them into the program and they're seeing results, but they're not seeing results as fast as they want, they're not going to stay, right? They're looking for 30 pounds in a month. It's just not realistic. So you want to attract the right person by talking to some of the deeper rooted problems like I'm talking about. Like, you're going through menopause. You're dealing with hot flashes. You want to fit back into your old pair of jeans, right? And you don't want to give up your lifestyle, right? Focusing on more of those deeper rooted problems. Like high level women, they want us to be able to go out and have dinner with their partner. They still want to be able to go out on vacation or have wine on the weekend, right? Those are their biggest things that they don't want to miss out on versus somebody who's a lower quality lead. They want to eat Cheetos all day.
Yeah. And notice how specific what Ethan said. I'll just stay on your offer instead of having to explain the same thing with mine. But having wine on the weekend, that's like something that all of your, avatars can, people in your avatar could relate to. They hear that and they say, oh, wow, he really knows me. It's like, yeah, yesterday I was literally drinking wine on the weekend with my friends and I'm still fat. So I want to be able to do that and I want to not be fat anymore, right?
Yeah.
Another thing that you could do in your ads to just be more qualifying is, what are you wearing? What is the level of professionalism of your ad that's going to, relate to who you're targeting as well, right? Maybe a more professional lens will work with what we're doing and maybe less with what someone else is doing, right? Are you wearing a polo and a nice watch and maybe some jewelry, or are you dressed like a fitness influencer?
Yeah.
Right? What is your background? Is your background professional looking? Is it, in my case, I would do like corporate buildings and things of this nature versus is your background a retro fitness that's themed like a McDonald's gym, right? There's, you have to consider these things when it comes to qualifying your ads, because it's the subtle things as well that people take notice of. Sometimes you don't take notice of it when you're making your ad, like you alluded to, Ethan, but nonetheless, it still plays a huge role. And I'm quite certain, although Facebook doesn't come out and say it, that Meta takes this information as well and puts it out to people that will resonate with that.
Yeah, definitely. If you're filming your ads and you're trying to look after busy moms or something like that, film it in the kitchen, right? Film it in an area where they can resonate and be like, oh, he's probably got some ideas around nutrition because I don't know how to make foods for me and my family, like how to diet properly or things like that. Or, if you're a guy and you're trying to get guys to build muscle, film it at the gym, right? Like be in the setting that you need to be in.
I thought of a great ad, by the way, while you were saying that the juices are flowing, because you said busy mom. It's like, imagine they're holding the child, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're in the kitchen and they're doing the ad and they're preparing food at the same time. And they're showing that it's possible, demonstrating the environment that the future client is going to create while also speaking to that person, right? So you're targeting the pain points of that given person. You're resonating with them. And then also you're resonating with them about the future pacing as well of what they could achieve, right? So I just thought of that. I thought that was pretty epic. Tell me how awesome I am, everyone. But no, you make a really good point. And like, guys, take note of that. Do not copy our offers because you're not going to be good at solving them. If you're really good at that, sure, do it. But the point is, take notes of how Ethan came up with that offer. And you have to understand the background behind that too. He invested in himself to understand female hormones. He did case studies with that. He spent a rigorous amount of time to actually get good at fulfilling that person because he knew that would help him in the long run. Right? Mm-hmm. I couldn't just go out there and say, hey, I'm going to help guys with low test. I'm going to help you read your blood work and make sure we can lower your cortisol levels and all these. Like, I can't do that at the time. Right? Mm-hmm. So I went through the same transition as Ethan, where I was just targeting like general desk workers. And then I tried corporate men. I didn't know how to solve their problems. And then once I actually invested in myself once again and learned how to solve their specific problems, all of a sudden I was better at resonating with them and then started to attract them and then started to make more money per client. So be very cautious about who you're actually targeting. Like, you have to be honest with yourself, like what your current level of knowledge is as well.
Definitely. You don't want to solve a problem that you can't solve.
Yes.
You don't want to oversell
Thank you for
yourself.
Putting that in a very simple way instead of me talking for 10 more minutes. So next step in the funnel, right? We've got our offer set. We've got a proven offer. We've got our ads. Well, what is the thing that our clients or our prospects see after they come in from the ad? Well, it's our Instagram page, especially with our funnel where we heavily rely on follower ads. So the Instagram page is essentially the traditional landing page. And what do you have on there? You have your bio, you have your picture, you have what your name actually is, you have your link in bio, you have your story highlights, you have your 3 pin posts, and then you have your content that nurtures. Right? So if you want to just, we don't have to go through every single one of those, but if you maybe want to go through like, how you look at your content now and how it's supposed to nurture, how do you look at that holistically?
So for me personally, it was kind of nailing the initial bit where it's like, all right, when I first figured out, all right, I want to work with corporate women, right? That was the first thing. So I'm like, all right, let me change the bio. I help corporate women. Right. Then it's like talking about fixing their metabolism, their hormones, and helping them to lose, 30 pounds. So I put that all in the bio. Then for the actual, pinned stuff that I have, it's, results, kind of YouTube stuff. I'd say resources that I have or resources that you have. Those are different things that you can pin. And then the pinned posts for me, really want to have for me, I have it where it's like my story around what I have, my different things that I've been through, how I've helped women just like them. I have a client case study on there. And then I also have something that I added recently, which is like, what does this cost? Right? And this is a little bit more direct because I have a lot more traffic coming to my page. It's something that I can just send to people when they give like a money objection or something like that, where it kind of outlines, hey, if you wanted to get a functional medicine doctor and you wanted to get a personal trainer and you want to get a nutritionist and a life coach, it would be like $3,000 a month. Right? So you put the value being really, really high of your entire service and what you offer, and you offer everything all at once, which is what I've honestly heard a lot of women that I work with like, right?
Because then when you pitch on the call, they don't know the exact price, right? They just understand what it would all cost if they did it all together. So then when you pitch and it's like, oh, it's going to be 800 a month. And they're like, oh, that's okay. That's not that bad, right? Instead
Yeah.
of, oh my gosh, like I have to, finance an arm and a leg to get there. And we
Yeah.
still have those people, and we close the shit out of
Sure.
them because we're the greatest. But yeah, absolutely.
It's about setting that higher expectation of value. And for a lot of the women I work with, they're really busy. They don't want to go to the gym 3 times a week with a trainer.
Yep.
And then the trainer's giving them different advice than a nutritionist. And then they see a doctor every year. And then they see their functional medicine doctor every 6 months. And it's like they got all these different pieces.
and all those
moving
people
around.
suck.
And all those people suck. But they got all these pieces versus having one clear-cut solution to solve all their problems. And so the content that I have on my page then is focused on talking about some of the deeper-rooted issues that I talk about in the ad. It's just, so I take the ad copy.
It's got to be
like-
consistent.
it's got to be consistent, right? So ad copy, and then I have the pieces on the page are all about the ad copy. So sleep, hormones, energy, fitting into clothes, like stress, all the different things that I touch on are in the posts. And I get comments on posts that are months old asking for a resource that I don't even have.
Yeah, that happens
Like-
to me a lot. Yeah. I still get that to this day, like things from like a year ago,
Yeah.
And guys, I just want to explain this potential discrepancy as well, that you don't want to make this mistake. And I've seen it a lot. Is people are like, oh, let me test a new ad, and they fixate on like completely different points. Like they hit it from like a completely different angle. And then, okay, you're talking about, I'm gonna help men with their sleep problems and their hormones, and they come to the page, and you're talking about how you're gonna help skinny fat guys build muscle. And it's like, that's
Yeah.
not congruent, so the conversion is going to be significantly less on the page, and then even the people that follow you, the content's not going to be as resonant with them, and then that really deteriorates your KPIs or your
Yeah.
chances of meeting them. So, for me, I always looked at, maybe we'll talk about the actual content that you do post now, is how can I be excessively redundant and specific to the problems that these people have while articulating my unique selling proposition? So for
Yeah.
me, I'm targeting corporate desk workers who do not have any time in the world, right? Like I'm so fixated on time in my content. A lot of people, say in their offer, oh yeah, without spending hours in the gym or without doing this, but I fixate on it and give a lot more value related to it, whereas other people just say it, right? So in my offer, I'm talking about, hey, you're a corporate desk worker, you sit on your ass all day, you have low T, you're stressed out all the time, and you have no time to work out. Probably 1 out of every 3 to 4 pieces of content, I'm giving them advice on how to get in shape in a lesser period of time. So then when people come and talk to me in the DMs, they're already pre-sold on the fact that they can get into shape in less time. They might have not responded to another coach, but they say, oh, this is the guy who speaks specifically to me and tells me that I can get into shape with less time, right?
Yeah.
And then same thing, before the sales call, they watch that stealth VSL we send out to everyone, and they see, oh, wow, I can get into shape in less time. Okay, so I'm preemptively meeting every single objection relative to the avatar of person that I am targeting.
Yeah, 100%. It's about reframing some of those limiting beliefs that they have in your content and also being able to handle the objections before they come up. So making sure that you can overall speak to the problems, understand them fully enough, have them understand them in a different way, and then just reshape it whenever you get on the call again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you make a really good point. And just sort of to touch even more on content a little bit, we talked about in our last episode here how we did not post on our main feed a single time, scaling
Yeah.
from around 10 to 15K to 70, 80K. So how did we do that? The content that was already on the feed, when people show up there, was extremely specific and dialed into the type of person we were targeting. Almost so specific to the point where if we made an improper post that didn't target the person as much, it would actually affect our funnel dramatically. That's
Yeah.
how specific we were to it. So that's point number 1, right? Now, that's your post, but you also have your stories. What are some things that we do for our stories to ultra qualify people? Well, apart from just the obvious of talking to that specific demographic, something that I've coined as the coward call out that's worked really well from us is taking the objections that we have in our DMs and in our sales calls. So objections that are specific to our target demographic, and then just heavily shitting on those objections. So,
Yeah.
quite honestly, if I was like, man, I'm like angry that this person didn't close, they had the worst objection, and no matter what I said, I couldn't meet that, I would literally like whip out my phone, take to my Instagram story, and talk about, hey, I've talked to lots of people that said X, Y, and Z, right? They said they didn't have enough time. But guess what? And then I would just lay into that excuse so much, right? Or people that say, oh, later. And I would lay into that about how later becomes never. And if you're listening to this, how many times did you say later? Was it New Year's last year that you said that? And the year before that? Guess what? You're going to be 45 saying you wish you stopped saying that when you were 30. So when I laid into people that way, that created the leads that I wanted. Because here's the truth is that your leads are not always going to be a 10 out of 10 quality. Sometimes you need to create that 10 out of 10 quality by nurturing them with content that shifts their beliefs to hold the perspective that is sort of a prerequisite in order for them to buy, right? You're going to have people that come to your funnel and they're not sold on the idea of investing in themselves with a fitness coach. They're not sold on the idea that they could get into shape in less time per week. They're not sold on the idea that some random guy named Ethan could fix their hormones, right? But you can, through your content and through the power of what you're saying, shift those beliefs, right? And I think that's the main sort of way we can categorize what content converts and what doesn't. Is it a belief shifting piece of content, or is it a piece of content that does not do that, that's aimed at going viral and never does? I think that's how you could categorize the two.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That like, it's so heavily reliant on, like in the beginning when I was doing a lot of my stuff, even one of the pinned highlights I have is just mindset. Like just when people click on the page, they see me talking about different objections people said. Oh, I don't have any money. Oh, well, you've spent $500 a month on fast food for the last 30 years. You ended up spending $180,000 to stay fat. Like, look at that, right? You could definitely have the money, but you're not put in the right areas. And so it's all about getting them to realize that they've put themselves last, and you have to get them to understand that.
Yeah. Like, honestly, guys, like, you want to insult them. Because here's the thing, if they're so insulted that they're like, I don't like this coach, good. Let the funnel optimize for people that aren't going to be a bitch. Right?
Yeah.
Like, honestly. And then the people that are insulted, they need that because that's what's going to say, oh shit, no one's ever told me this before. No one's ever cared about me enough and looked out for me to say, dude, like, you've got serious man tits and like, you look like shit. And like, that's not representative of being healthy. And where are you going to be in 10 years from now? Mm-hmm. Right? Do you want to be like the rest of your friends? Do you want to be like your dad when he was your age and had a heart attack and died? Right? We want to take a dagger and shove it in someone's insides and then turn it until it hurts so much that they have to buy.
Yeah.
Right? And it sounds fucked up, but it's not out of violence. It's not out of aggressiveness or intimidation. It's out of the fact that they've never been stopped in their tracks before and they've gone through life without making change that would dramatically improve their livelihoods.
Definitely. And the other issue is that for a majority of them, if they don't get that wake-up call, that is the reality that is going to happen. Like if someone's pre-diabetic now, and then they've been that way for a couple of years, and nothing changes for 10 years, it's more than likely they're going to be diabetic, right? This is just the truth. So if you tell them the truth, and nothing but the truth, and you tell them, hey, this is a reality, this is where you're going to end up if you do nothing, and they continue on that path, hey, they took their own responsibility, they did nothing. But you'll have those people who are like, I need to change. This is something I have to do now.
And scare them, like with fear, right? It's like your arm's going to be, like literally just be like, your arm's going to be cut off if you don't do anything about this. It's like everyone that says that they're, like, I could like give you this story framework right now, like just how it comes to my mind. I could be like, I've had so many people that I've spoken to that said like, they were pre-diabetic, but they'll do something about it down the road. Like they're young, they're still like 27 years old. And you know what? I've seen them get older and older and older and gone into the stage of diabetes. So much so to the point where I've heard their doctors talking about how they might have to cut off their limbs in a couple years. It's like, do you guys want to deal with that? Or do you actually want to do something about it now to walk a completely different path? Right? This is just coming to my brain right now, but you guys could replicate that exact thing to instill fear in your audience. And then when people are uncertain and when they are fearful, you will position yourself as the vehicle that creates that clarity in their life and delivers them to the promised land when they do not know what to do or who to follow. right? I used this example on one of our coaching calls yesterday. And it was, hey, you know socialism and how it doesn't work out that well? Do you know how it comes to be? It's when people are very uncertain and they're in economic turmoil. They don't have money. They don't have food. They don't have shelter. And then someone comes along that doesn't even have your best interest at heart. And they say, hey, we're going to provide for you. We're going to give you these things. And all of a sudden it becomes, oh, that's really, that sounds great. Like, let's just go with that. That's all they've got. Right. So it's the only thing that gives them some sort of concrete certainty that like they're not going to die tomorrow. Although they 100%. Did in the gulags and whatnot, but besides the point, right? So we could take marketing strategies from these people and employ it to actually create the type of leads that we want.
Yeah, 1,000%. It's all about making sure that you can speak to that audience and overall help them to overcome some of those fears and give them the fears in the first place, tell them that it's possible to happen, and then helping them to overcome the fear by using your solution.
Yeah, because some people do not have enough pain, and you have to give them a reason to perceive more pain, right? Like, and it's not like you could do this nefariously, but a lot of people should feel more pain when they don't. And I'm talking about mentally here. So it's like if you're like 100 pounds overweight and you're still not doing anything about it and you're going in the opposite direction, you have a mental health problem, right? Because you don't see that as an actual legitimate issue that needs solving. So we need to reframe those people's brains and repattern them so they see that as a more significant problem in their lives. Because we actually care about impacting lives and helping people, we have to show them where they're going wrong because that's love. It's not fucking love to say, hey, keep going. Here's our Christian vernacular here, right? But keep, walk into the street, and because I'm afraid to yank your arm, I'm just going to let you get hit by a car. That's not love. It's like, no, stop going into the middle of the freaking street. I'm going to yank your arm. I don't care if it hurts because I'm going to help you from not dying.
Yep. It's about helping them. It's all about service, right? You can't help somebody who doesn't believe they don't have a problem. And the best way to help them to understand their problem is, by telling them in some ways on stories. But when you're on a sales call, you got to help them to understand they have the problem, because what you say is going to be garbage at that point. What they believe in the conversation they have in their own mind is going to be the gold. So you need them to get them to understand they actually have an issue. And that can be by some of the framing you say in your content. Like for me, when I make content, it's all about oh, your hormones are the problem. So when someone comes to the call, majority of the time it can be, some people not, but they'll come to the call and be like, oh, hormones are the problem. They just say that it is. And then it's so easy, right? Because they're already pre-framed on what I do. And they have no clue how to fix it. And they have no clue how to fix it. And I'm the only solution for them to solve it. So when I drop the price, they're just like, all right, let's figure out a way to make it work.
No choice. Yeah, it's like they're stranded in the middle of the water. And the first ship that comes is there. Let's say you're in World War II. Boom, plane crashes, on the outskirts of Vietnam, right? And you're in the water, the body of water there, and you're floating on a raft, and no ships have come. And the first ship that comes, are you gonna swim away from it, or you're gonna be like, this is my only chance of survival? And it's like, boom, it's the Japanese, and you're screwed for the next 3 years, right? But it's but in this analogy, the point is that we're not gonna be the Japanese. We're not gonna let them get in the way. We're gonna be the US of A, and we're going to take care of you. That sounds so crazy, but you get my point, right?
You got to be the saving grace for them and be the only option that they think they can have. Because
I'm getting hyped up.
When you become in that spot where you have such a valuable offer, you have the right type of person coming to the page, they're pre-sold on your information, you become a one-of-one solution. They're not going to go out and be like, you know what, let me talk to other coaches and see if there's something better. They don't exist. In their mind, you're the only option. So you have to be that way with your clients and be that way with prospects that come to you, that you are the solution.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
Are the problem solver.
I think the last thing to touch on there, did I cut you off by the way, or was there anything else? Is just mistakes. What are mistakes that people make when trying to ultra qualify their leads? Because sometimes we see people with an ultra compensation and it doesn't work very well.
I'd say the biggest one, and the thing that I tried in the very, very beginning, this is kind of a little bit about what we talked about earlier, is your page and your ad don't resonate together. So you say something along the lines of oh, if you're a high level entrepreneur and you're making 7 figures a year and you're looking to lose 30 pounds, give me a follow here on Instagram. And they go to your page and it's like generic fitness advice that everyone gives.
And you're like some loser, right? It's
Yeah.
like you clearly don't make any money. And it's like they could see right through it because they're a 7-figure entrepreneur.
Exactly. And so you're trying to attract an avatar that doesn't resonate with you at all. It's not possible. It is possible to do that. Like, I'm a guy who talks to women about hormones, but I'm an authority in their mind. If you're trying to talk to a high-level business owner and your content looks horrible, it's like so out of focus, or it's just bad quality, and the content you give is regurgitated stuff they could find on ChatGPT, it's like you're not going to be an authority. You're just going to be another fitness coach. Just be another random guy.
Absolutely. I think you make fantastic points there. I think another thing to add on to is that if you are saying, hey, if you make 6 figures or if you make this much, okay, but if you are to do that, I see 99% of people that do that and then they don't further qualify in any of the person's situations other than how much money they make. So it's like, if you're saying, oh, you make 6 figures, well, how many people make 6 figures in this country? A lot. So it doesn't matter. It's like saying, hey, are you a desk worker? Well, it's like, okay, are you going to resolve a specific pain point of desk workers or just all desk workers? Because that's most people in this country are white collar. So that doesn't mean anything. It's basically just like saying, hey, a bunch of you guys who sit down, that doesn't do too well, right? So what about someone who makes 6 figures? Who that makes 6 figures are you specifically targeting? Are you saying, hey, if you make 6 figures, go follow me, essentially, generic fitness advice? Or if you make 6 figures and X, Y, and Z, right? Extra lines of qualification about what that person's lifestyle is, right? Or what pain points they have, or, what issues that person specifically faces, right? To kind of call back with Ethan's example of women who they want to be able to enjoy their lifestyle and have a glass of wine on the weekends while still being able to drop fat, right? That's a level of specificity, right? But if you just said, hey, you're a corporate executive woman, like, go follow me, essentially, right? You're a corporate executive woman, you want to lose weight. That doesn't do anything. No one cares, because guess what? If you're trying to attract quality people, you better be a quality person, because if not, they're going to read right through that.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're trying to, because if you don't talk to the specific pain points of the avatar, it just sounds like you're in it for the money, right? You're just trying to charge the highest price to the person without even understanding their deeper issues or why you could charge that much.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah. All right. I think this is a good spot to kind of end off the episode. So I'll go ahead and say thank you guys for watching the 3rd episode of the podcast for online fitness coaches. As a thank you for watching this episode, I want to go ahead and give you the exact same sales script that Benji and I have used to close at least 60% each month or more in our businesses. So just go ahead, message us at PT Launchpad on Instagram. Okay, so at PT Launchpad, no spaces. Message us the keyword sales, and we'll send that right over to you.
Take care, guys.
Take care.